Hello, lovely people of the internet, and welcome to the very first novelty knitting vlog. I have decided to do this for a couple of reasons. Honestly, the insanely long recording sessions were really getting to me. In the old format, where I was doing both knitting content and book content in the same video, I would record for something like 2 to 2.5 hours, which is exhausting. I also found that the book content, even though it had only been a 2-week span or so, I had a tendency to forget the feeling of the book that I was reviewing. So I want to do something that's maybe a little bit more off the cuff. So what these vlogs are going to be is mostly the bookish content from the podcast is going to be shifted into this vlog format so that I can just pick up the camera whenever I have finished a book so that I can talk to you guys about it as soon as I finish it. I might not love it as much when it comes time for editing, but it will definitely be easier on me as far as the recording goes. You might notice that the video quality is just a little bit less high quality. I am using just a phone to record this on rather than what I usually use, which is an HD webcam. Similarly, the audio quality is going to be entirely dependent on my phone's microphone as opposed to the fancy Yeti microphone that I usually use. So when it comes to knitting content, I will definitely still be doing the podcast format where I sit down and just go over everything that I've been working on for over the 2 weeks. And the vlogs are going to go up every other week that the podcast is not going up. So you'll have content from me now every single week. It's going to be 1 week is the knitting podcast, and then the following week you will see these vlogs. I just thought that maybe this could be a little bit more engaging. I can work on editing this as I go, so I can upload this clip onto my computer and edit that and then add to it as I get more clips in, which will be easier on me. You guys also, hopefully it's a bit more engaging for you guys. You get to see my lovely photo wall back here. You can see my collection of sheep. And you can see my sleeping cat. Not every single vlog is going to be filmed from this angle. Sometimes I'll be out and about or downstairs. So it's going to be a mix of mostly bookish content with a little bit of life stuff thrown in there. So since my last podcast episode, I have actually finished 2 books, and both of them were in the Night Huntress series. The first one was One Grave at a Time, and I wanted to talk to you guys about this one just real quick because I was really disappointed in this book. I understand now why I don't remember anything about it because I've definitely read it before, but I don't remember any of the details. And the reason that I don't remember any of the details is because it was a little bit boring. I think the main problem was just the stakes. They weren't high enough. In all of the other books, the outcome, if they failed, was like all-out vampire war, or wars between one vampire's line and another vampire's line, whereas in this one, it was still important. If they didn't stop the bad guy in this one, then innocent people would be murdered every year, but it didn't have that personal touch that I am so used to in all of the other stories where the threat was specifically against usually cat. I was going to say cat or bones, but it's usually cat. I think that probably what the problem is that this book was mostly setting up for the next one so that we understand how diabolical the villain is going to be in the next one. I'm pretty sure that the villain in the next one is Madigan, who is a government agent. He takes part in some of the scenes in this book, and he's always a jackass and we always hate him. But I'm still just a little bit worried about it because, again, I don't remember what happens in this next book, so I have to assume that it's not as interesting as what happens in some of the earlier ones. But oh well, because I have the spin-off series to read, which I am seriously enjoying. I finished Once Burned, which is the first one in the first spin-off series, with the main character from the Night Hunter series being Vlad. And I've said before that I absolutely love Vlad, so I was a little bit disappointed that all of these books are from the perspective of the love interest. So I was hoping that some of it would be from Vlad's perspective, perspective, because in the standalone spin-offs, Eternal Kiss of Darkness and First Drop of Crimson, those had chapters from both characters' perspectives, both the male and the female protagonist in those. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm okay with it because Layla is a perfect narrator. I absolutely love her. She has super cool powers. She has a super interesting relationship with vampires and specifically with Vlad. I will not say that I don't feel like I could benefit from some chapters from Vlad's perspective, but I'm doing okay. I'm still hoping that eventually we'll get some Vlad chapters, but I'm not holding my breath for that. But yeah, there you go. First part of the very first NTK vlog. I hope that you guys like this new format. Please let me know what you think down in the description below, and I will see you guys later. Hello lovelies, this is Emma of the future, here to just give you a quick announcement before we get into the bulk of the vlog here. I am doing a live stream today. So today, as this goes live, it should be June 18th, assuming nothing has gone wrong. And I will be doing a live stream today with Saxy Nana Alice. And that is going to be happening on my channel here at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. We are just going to be doing kind of like a Friday night knitting club, sit and knit. We're just going to be hanging out, knitting, talking with each other. I'm going to be asking questions so I can get to know her a little bit better, and hopefully we'll have a conversation. The chat will be very much open during that video, so if you have any questions for me or for Saxy Nana Alice, please come and join us, and you can have a conversation with us. If you're watching this video on a day other than when it went live, then don't worry. If you would still like to catch that live, I will have it up on my YouTube channel, and I will also be sending the file over to Saxy Nana Alice so you can check it out on her channel, which of course I will be linking in the description down below. So check her out. Please come to the live stream tonight, and I will see you guys there. Besides that real quick announcement, I also wanted to mention, again before we really get into this video, that these videos will not be this long in the future, most likely. This video just happens to be so long because I did 3 weeks of filming rather than 2 weeks, just because of how it worked out with when I decided to start filming and when I wanted the very first episode to go live. So rest assured, most of the future videos are not going to be quite so long. Okay guys, so I've got a quick update for you. I just finished Twice Tempted. Hi, are you gonna come say hi? Yes. I'm trying to give an update. I'm trying to vlog. How do you think this helps? Say, all your viewers will love me.
I am your life.
You good? Hit me in the face with that. Anyway, it never ends.
Come here, Pop. Come here, sweetie. Oh, Zakoka.
Oh! You get your bone, Finn. You get your bone. Who's a good girl? Oh yes, very pleased with yourself, huh?
Elena wants the bone.
Of course she does. Anyway, I just finished Twice Tempted, and all I really have to say is that I'm quite impressed that Janine Frost seems to be changing up her writing style just a little bit, so that she has more through plot lines. You want this? Come to it over here. So I just finished... So on the spin-offs, and now we have a cat. Please excuse the menagerie. So the spin-off series that I'm reading right now about Vlad, which focuses on Vlad, well, I mean, none of it is from Vlad's perspective, which is a bit of a disappointment, but it is about his romance. The one that I just finished, the ending was quite eye-opening, and it's very cool to see her taking a character from the first one, including it in the second, or making him relevant in the second, but not really part of it. And then I assume he's also going to be in the third. So that is very cool, and it is not something she ever did with the Night Huntress series. I talked about how in the Night Huntress series there was one book where the main villain was Patra, and I would have really liked to see her come back, like reprise her role as a villain, and they killed her off way too fast. So the fact that she hasn't done that for this series. You're really going at that bone, huh? Chonk, 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 chonk. So I'm really pleased to see her making more through lines in her plots. She also did that she is doing that in the Night Huntress, the last 2 Night Huntress books, it seems. So that's quite exciting for future books of hers. Okay, guys, so we're going on a little bit of an adventure today. I very randomly, honestly, decided that I wanted to fish. We have 2 cats, 2 dogs, and apparently my menagerie is not complete without a fish. So we're gonna go to get a fish right now. I'm not even at a pet store or anything. I'm just at our local Meijer, which is, if you're not from the Midwest, is basically like a slightly higher end Walmart. But yeah, I've got a couple other things to pick up, so I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I will let you guys see what fish I pick out. Fish. I didn't end up getting just one fish because these fish apparently like to live in schools. They prefer to be in schools, so I got 4, which is just about as many as I think I can reasonably have in the 3.5 or so gallon tank that I got. But yeah, fish. I will name them once I get them home. this was apparently a fantastic week to start vlogging because Elena is trying to play with my foot. Hey, can't you see I'm filming here? She hasn't had her walk yet today, so she's feeling feisty. Anyway, this week was apparently a really good week to start this vlog because adventures abound. First we had the fish, and now we have Bronner's. So if you're not from Michigan, then you probably won't know what Bronner's is, but it is a Christmas wonderland. It is this massive store in Frankenmuth, which is not too far from where I live with my husband. And as a absolute Christmas fanatic, I absolutely love that store. It is actually a major tourist destination, so people come from Canada, from other states to go to Bronner's. So it's kind of a big deal, but fortunately it is very slow in June, so it was not very busy, which is why Taylor and I went when we did. So yeah, I went with my best friend Taylor. I had a few ornaments. They do hand-painted ornaments there, so I needed to get a couple. I needed to get one for Elena, who joined our family just last year, and then for Alistair as well. Even though he joined our family a couple years ago, I hadn't gotten around to getting him his ornament yet because we got him the year that Michael and I got married. So there was all kinds of stuff going on then, and then in 2020, obviously we had the pandemic, so we just hadn't gotten around to it yet. So I'm going to insert some footage from that trip so you can get an idea of what Bronner's is like. And then I am going to do a little ornament haul so you can see all of the fun ornaments that I got. Alright guys, so I was just doing my editing and I realized that I have yet to show you guys the ornament haul that I got. So to you, this is just going right after where I said I'd show you the ornament haul, but to me, it's been a couple weeks. So let's go through the ornaments that I bought at Bronner's. First of all, these were on clearance. I have to assume they weren't very popular, even though I absolutely love them. And it is these little lacy ornaments. Yeah? Can I help you? And I got 4 of these in a few different patterns. I just think they're beautiful, and I really love like soft ornaments like this, things that can go on the, oh, I got 5 of them, things that can go on like the lower part of a tree, and if they fall off because the cats are playing with them or anything like that, then it's not a big deal, they're not going to break. But the pine cone one that I showed you guys, that one is definitely my favorite. I have kind of a thing with pine cones. It's actually, it goes way back to a D&D story from several years ago where I think that I was a druid and I was looking for, and I needed a new weapon, and I think I was getting a staff or something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but there was a picture, or there was a bunch of pictures of different types of staffs that you could have, and there was one that looked like it was a pine cone on a stick. If I can find the illustration, I will put it up here. But yeah, so ever since I got that pine cone on a stick, which I immediately became obsessed with, I have been super into pine cones. This ornament I actually got because I just thought it was too funny and I wanted something to remember the past crazy year by. So this says, vaccinated 2021, 2 shots. I just think it's funny. And I am vaccinated. This is Elena's new toy, apparently. My husband and I are both vaccinated, but yeah, I thought that this was a good reminder of kind of what we've been through for the last year and a half, 2 years. So this next one I got because, well, there was no really good reason because it wasn't on sale or anything like that. They were just, I just thought that these were really beautiful and they're a little bit different than what you usually see in icicles. And I really, really love this thing in the middle because when it spins a bit like this, Michael mentioned that it just kind of looks like there's like water dripping down the icicle. But yeah, I just thought they were really cool. So I got 4 of those. Next was just a bit of a whim, and these I got partially because they were quite inexpensive, but also because, well, I'll show you the first one and then I'll explain. So this is a little robin. I guess there's no reason that they have to be in the plastic. Here we go. And it's got a little clip to put it on the tree. And I just thought it was super cute, super adorable. So I got a bunch of birds, and partially that is because my grandmother loved birds, and she passed away several years ago, but I love doing things like this, just little things to remind me of the family that I've lost. So here's an owl. I did get a few owls. I think there were three that I got. This one, and I think this one is very similar to that one, except it has spots on its head instead of just like the feathering. And then I got this yellow one, beautiful. And I got a hummingbird because my mom loves hummingbirds. Finally, the last couple pieces that I got were the hand-painted ornaments that I needed to get for the new members of our family. These are very special, very important to us. Michael actually proposed to me using a Christmas ornament, so we were decorating our Christmas tree and I had like left to go to the bathroom or something, and I come out of the back hallway and I almost walked past him because my mind was like completely elsewhere, but there he was kneeling on one knee, down on one knee with an ornament in his hand with my engagement ring on top, like on the little ring, and he got those at Bronner's. He got them hand painted at Bronner's. This first one is for Alistair, who joined our family in 2019. So it's a little hard to see because of the glare, like how it reflects so well, all the things around it. But yeah, it's really beautiful. And I got the gold because of his orange fur and all that. And then the very last one that I have for you guys is this one that I got for Elena, who joined our family in 2020, of course. So there you go. There's my ornament haul. Okay, hey guys. Hi, Fluffy. Literally every time I sit down, this is basically the reaction that I get, especially if I haven't sat down in a while. But anyway, today was yet another adventure. Again, I picked a good week to start vlogging. We had a baseball game. My husband is captain and manager, essentially, of a vintage baseball team in the city in which we live. I didn't get as much footage as I would have liked from the game, mostly because of this one. I like to take them to the games because they're at public parks and we're completely allowed to bring the dogs, and so I like to think like, oh, what a good outing for them. They'll be very happy to come along with us. Unfortunately, they also come with an awful lot of responsibility. So Elena is really bad about barking whenever she sees other dogs. So again, dogs are welcome at this park. So anytime she saw another one walking by, or there were some people at the game that had dogs, so they brought their dogs just like we did, and she just threw an absolute fit. So I spent most of the game trying to make sure she wasn't barking rather than getting to enjoy the game, where I usually like to knit. It's a really, really good time because it's a very relaxed game. One of the big themes as far as rules go is that this is a gentleman's game. And so you're not supposed to cuss, you're not supposed to slide. When it comes to challenges, when it comes to whether or not someone was safe or out or anything, it's supposed to be very relaxed and you don't fight it too much, even if you don't agree. Stuff like that. It's a very relaxed, fun environment. Unless, of course, you have two dogs who don't know how to be relaxed or calm about anything. Except, of course, when they've spent the whole day barking and being rambunctious. So, of course, now she's relaxed. And I did get a couple of innings out of her where she just kind of laid in the shade. We were all in the shade because it was dreadfully hot today. It was 95 degrees. So I was trying to make sure that they were cool in addition to keeping myself hydrated. I was also partially in charge of getting food for everybody. So there was not a lot of time for knitting. The very first vintage baseball game that Michael and I ever went to before he started playing was in like fall-ish. I think it was in September, and it was one of the last warm days that we had, and I sat there knitting a sweater for the entire time. It was 3 games because it was a tournament. So it was really, really fun, really, really relaxing, and an amazing time to work on my knitting. Less so when you have to wrangle a couple of dogs and you have responsibilities. But the next game is not a home game, so I am not going to be bringing the dogs, and I am not going to be in charge of food or anything, so I am prepared to get a bunch of knitting done, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But anyway, here is a little bit of that footage that I did manage to get from the game.
This is the Lumber City Baseball Club from Flint, Michigan, coming out to play. Today we're going to play based on the rules of 1860, which means if they catch the ball in the first bounce, the player's going to be out. All right. There are occasionally strikes called if the batter is waiting out the pitcher too long, but there's no balls in 1860. Well, no call balls. There's one. We have one, right? Yeah, right there. I'll see if I can explain a few of the rules as we go along, but I'll hand it off to.
Hello, I am Cutter. I am the captain for the Lansing Senators team. Thank you very much for coming out and joining us on this beautiful and hot day. I mean, it's summer. What are you going to do? I would like to give special thanks to the Lumber City Baseball Club for coming out and joining us today. This is, as stated, our inaugural season, and we're excited to play some ball, keep getting better. I'm going to warn you now, vintage games can have a higher score, so if we're down like 25 points, it's not that terrible. It's a little terrible, but not completely terrible. I'd like to let the team introduce themselves. As stated, I am Cutter. Go down the line. Mustang.
Moonlight.
Capital. Adam.
Professor.
And so yeah, that's us. I'm gonna hand it off to Lumber City.
Doubleheader, which wasn't actually a doubleheader. Yeah, it was like 2 teams that were both in white. Home! Second. Watch second!
Okay, today is a bath day. I've been meaning to give Alina a bath for ages. She gets these, she has drainage really badly in her eyes, and the only time that she will let me cut the fur out so I can get rid of all the clumps from that is when she's taking a bath. So we just went for a walk so she doesn't have to go to the bathroom, and we are going to get her in a nice cool bath today because it is in the 90s. It is very, very hot and unpleasant outside. You ready for this? Trying to get dry? Gotta get dried off, huh? How many times are you gonna do that? Aw. You come to inspect your sister? Oh, what's the matter, friend? What's the matter? Oh, shoot, Miss Mom, are you worried about me?
Certainly not worried about Elena.
Nope.
So good about it.
Widow puppy, look at you.
Look at all her spots.
Look at you, you're all spots. You're like Spots' breath. Spots' puppy. You're a spotted puddle.
You can bring me your ball? You gotta give me the ball!
Hey, Elena, come here. Take the ball.
Silly. There we go. Freshly washed. You want this? Go get it. Good girl. Hello, and welcome to my neighborhood. So I have been taking the dogs for a walk. There's ducks. Fen really wants to see the ducks. Come on, sweetie. No, you can't see the ducks. Anyway, I have been out walking the dogs, listening to my audiobook, and I finished my audiobook, so I am going to tell you guys about it as soon as we get by this neighbor who is out in his yard. I don't really want to see me talking to a camera. Right, okay, what was I saying? I finished a book, The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, which is a book that I first heard about when I was working at the library. When I was working at the library, I ended up with a massive to-be-read list because I would see books coming across the counter that people were returning or checking out, and I would be like, that sounds interesting to me. I want to read that. And so it would end up on my to-be-read list. Plus, basically, in any downtime that we had, I didn't want to be doing anything un-library related. So I would go through and look at books that had just come into the library and books that were coming to the library soon, things that were on order, and it just was a mess for my to-be-read list. I must have gained a mile in length at least from my time at the library. Anyway, The Bookish Life of Nina Hill is a book for book lovers. As you might expect from the title, it is all about Nina, who is completely obsessed with books. She also prefers to be alone. She has anxiety. She's dealing with loneliness. I really loved this book. I will say that the storytelling style is very particular and it's not going to be to everybody's tastes. I definitely found myself not being able to listen to very much of it at a time because I would get a little bit annoyed with the storytelling style. That being said, I thought that this book was incredible at describing some things that tend to be relatively difficult in my opinion. So first of all, describing loneliness. This book did it so perfectly. It was genuinely incredible how I felt like I could really feel the loneliness that Nina was going through. And then there's the anxiety, the description of what it feels like to have anxiety and having panic attacks and everything. This book did an amazing job. And I think the most impressive thing was that it just seemed to be a complete master of show don't tell. So if you are someone who likes to read, if you experience anxiety or you would like to read about what it's like to experience anxiety, I highly, highly recommend this book. Now I will give you some very adorable footage of my dogs because we need to stop for a minute and get a drink because it's way too hot out. Do you want a drink? I was just reading before I went to bed and I managed to finish another book, so I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about it before tomorrow, I guess, while everything was still fresh. Now, this book is Cozy by Isabel Giles, and the tagline is The Art of Arranging Yourself in the World. Let me tell you, do not read this book. There's no point. There's no point to this book. I found it just incredibly tedious and boring. It felt like it was just a big list of things that the author found cozy, or that the author found ways to make cozy, even though they are things that are inherently, like, uncozy, like going to the hospital and things like that. It felt like it was like a hastily written, pretentious college paper that missed the whole point of the topic and didn't have a thesis. And as anyone who's ever written a paper for high school or college or anything will know, a thesis is like essential. A thesis is what you build your paper or whatever you're writing around. And this one, there just didn't seem to be any point to it. Like, there was no message, there was nothing. So, 2 stars. Do not recommend. There are so many more interesting things you could read or use your time for. There weren't even any, like, really nice illustrations or anything. Like, at least the Little Book of Huga has really gorgeous illustrations, even if I thought some of the stuff in it was a little bit surface level. But this one, like, there are some pencil sketches from the author in here and there, but it's not that good. I really, really didn't like it. I'll tell you what it really felt like was, it felt like some wealthy, privileged person wanted to write a book, and this is what they did. Do I have anything else to say? I don't think that I do. Okay. Hey guys, I just finished up recording, and so I wanted to show you guys my setup here. As you can see, podcasting makes a little bit of a mess, and I have all of my blankets and cushions that are usually on this couch, on the floor. I've got this very professional lighting setup, as you can see. So this will hopefully very soon be replaced with a ring light. Right now this is my husband's bedside lamp, and then this is just a lamp that I keep in this room to make things cozy. That is how I manage my lighting setup, and then I've got this Logitech webcam, which is an HD webcam. And I have a puppy. You're just so feisty. You kept wanting to play while I was recording. Can't have that. Quickly before she comes back in. And then this is a Yeti blue. Yes, this is a Yeti blue microphone. And I use Audacity to record my audio, which is this here. And for... Did you throw a ball up here? What do you want? Go get your ball. Go get it. And then I use noise reduction in Audacity after I have done everything, just to get rid of any background noise like the dogs or the fish tank. Oh, be careful. Don't pull my lights down. Hi. Okay. Are you happy now? And then I use Handbrake so that I can get a constant frame rate on my videos. This is both Audacity and Handbrake are free, or at least the versions I use of them are free. They do have paid versions, but I don't need anything on them that you have to pay for. And then as far as my software goes, my editing software, I use Wondershare Filmora, which has a lot of the features that I like from Adobe Premiere, or at least the ones that are like most necessary for me. Oh, there it is. The reason, by the way, that the computer is being so loud right now is because it takes a lot of energy for it to run this program that's giving my video a constant frame rate. In Wondershare, it does all of the basic things that I like in Adobe Premiere, but I only have to pay $40 a year for Filmora, whereas Premiere costs me $20 a month. But yeah, there you go. That is my setup. Now I need to clean it all up because this is not the primary function of this space. I need to be able to use that couch like a normal human being. And I also have to make dinner. So, see you guys later. All right, we are out on a walk again. And I just finished the very last book in the Night Huntress series, so the main series. I still have plenty to go in the spin-offs. There were definitely elements of this book that I didn't like as much as I liked some of the other books in the series. Specifically, the second one is just my favorite, but this one was still very good. The only thing is that I felt like it could have used a little bit more setup. So if they had maybe left trails in like the second or third book. Hello! Okay, back home, because apparently, despite the fact that it is 87 degrees outside, and I swear at least 120% humidity, I don't actually know how much humidity is outside, but it feels like a lot. Despite that, apparently all my neighbors want to sit out on their porches. So, as I was saying, the very last book in the Night Huntress series, I wish that there had been threads that Janine Frost pulled from the very beginning of the books, and there were definitely through lines. There were things that were important in previous books, that had happened in previous books, that ended up coming into play in this last book. But it didn't so much feel like it was planned. I'm going to turn some lights on. But it didn't so much feel like it was planned as it was like Janine Frost realized that all of these things, she could bring them together and make this final thing happen. Admittedly, the final thing is very, very cool, but again, it didn't really happen until about halfway through the book. Like, we didn't even find out about like the big thing that was going to be affecting. Just because I sit down doesn't mean I want kisses. We didn't learn about the big thing that was going to be like the major catalyst for all of the events in this book until about halfway through, and so then we only had about half of the book to really come to terms with it, and it was still good. It was still really good. I would definitely still rank it in like the top 3 or 4 books, I think, in the Night Huntress series. I think the only sticking point for me with this one is that I can just see where it could have been just that little bit better. I really love overarching plots, things that are brought up in the very first book and then they become more and more and more important throughout until the very last book where everything comes to a head. Like Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson and the Olympians does that perfectly. You can't possibly want to play ball. We just went for like a 30-minute walk in the 87-degree weather and the humidity. No, you're tired. I know you're tired. You just have to come to terms with it. The one thing that I did really love about this book is that it made me extremely excited for the books where Ian is one of the main characters, where it's Ian and Veritas. Because in the first several books, I really did not like Ian. He was really annoying, a complete pervert, a complete jackass. He had absolutely no morals, it seemed. But by this book, we definitely see him and what he stands for and the things like the lines that he will not cross. And we see that he very clearly loves the people that are important to him. So, like, the main characters, like Cat and Bones, and the other people in his line, and the friends that he's had for centuries. These people are all important to him, and I really love that. So it made me very excited to get to Ian's series, which I think doesn't start until after I finish Vlad's series, and I have 2 more books in Vlad's series. Or it might be some mix of the two, I don't know. But I am very excited. But I was kind of on the fence about starting the next series or keeping going with these books. I was thinking that maybe what I would do was give it a rest for a few weeks so that I could take a break from this very intense series, but I don't think I'm going to do that now. I really, really want to read this book from, I'm assuming it'll be from Ian's perspective. At the very least, it will be central on Ian. So that's all for now, and I will see you guys later. Please ignore the mess that is everything, but I just wanted to show off the haul that I just got from harvesting my herbs. So we've got some mint here and some sage, but the thing that I am the most proud of is all this lavender. Look at that! Oh my gosh, I'm so pleased. I just want to take a moment because this is very much my aesthetic, and I don't know what it is, because like it's not like dark academia, and it's a little witchy, I suppose, but mostly, hi darling, I'm recording. But obviously there are some pieces that I would like to switch to knits. Like this could easily be a knit, and then I would put on some hand knit socks if it were colder. But yeah. Whatever this style should be called. This is it. This is me. And this is my husband. So I never properly introduced you guys to my fishies here. As you can see, the tank is looking a little bit different from when I first set it up. I was doing a little bit of research on these guys, and it seems like they like open spaces. So I took out some of their plants, the ones in particular that seemed to be getting like most mucky with their food, because I also had to clean the tank. So let's see if I can remember which one is which for all these guys. This guy here in the very front. Wait, no. Oh, they all look so similar, but they all do have distinct features. So the guy here with the little chunk out of his back fin, or the bottom fin, that is gray. This one in the front, he is Ben Allen Roth. The one on the right hand side now, that is Vegeta Jr. And then the other one, the last guy left, that is Tim. So those are all references either to podcasts that I listen to, or in the case of Vegeta Jr. Jr. Oh, I missed a junior actually. It's Vegeta Jr. Jr. Jr., which is a reference to Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which my husband and I are just a little bit obsessed with, and Michael got to name that one. I gave him one fish to name, and that's the name that he went with. So hello lovelies, and welcome to what is more or less the end of the video. I just have a few books that I need to talk to you guys about before we end. So it has been a few days since I have picked up the camera, and I just need to tell you about the 3 books that I finished in that time. First of all, we have Bound by Flames, which is the 3rd book in the Night Prince series by Janine Frost. I don't have a ton to say about this one because I have covered most of what my thoughts are on it in previous videos. The only thing that I wanted to mention about this book is how frustrating it is to have this book take all of the things that annoy me most, like all of the romance tropes, like primarily miscommunications or a lack of communication, or the 2 people just being incredibly stubborn and refusing to communicate, and it is making them seem reasonable. So in this book in particular, but in all the other ones as well, one of the bigger conflicts, besides, you know, the overarching plot and the overarching conflict, is that Vlad is hundreds of years old and he keeps his emotions tight to his chest. He finds it hard to trust people. He finds it difficult to let himself be vulnerable. He feels like he has to be in command of every situation. He is deathly afraid of losing his love interest, and it all makes sense based on his character and his character arc so far, and just what we already know about him, which is so frustrating because all of those tropes are incredibly annoying to me and I don't like them, but I have to admit that they make sense for this character. I also finished the very first book in a series, and the series is Hunter Legends, and the very first book is Fantasy Lover. Now, I'm pretty sure that this book is like a prequel, even though it's not quite labeled as such, because the second book in the series has like a very clear delineation of being like, this is the start of a sequel. Not sequel, this is the start of a series. This is what happens when I don't have a script. So I was really hesitant to start Fantasy Lover because I don't really like the premise of it, even though I ended up loving the book. The premise of it is very off-putting because it is about a Greek love slave who gets summoned from a book in which he is trapped, and he can only come out for a month at a time in order to please his lover. That is not the kind of thing that I really like at all, especially the Greek love slave aspects of it. But yeah, so I read this one even though I wasn't super keen on it because I do not like to read things out of order in a series. And like I said, it ended up being pretty good. They talk about sex from basically the very first line of this book, which isn't that surprising, but the lore of it is really interesting, and it really hooked me because it was Greek mythology, and I have been on such a kick of Greek mythology since I started reading Percy Jackson, and so I'm kind of like eager to pull that out from wherever I can find it. But I'm really excited for the second one because that was the one that I actually want to read, but I couldn't justify reading it without reading this one first. But the next one is called Night Pleasures, so I'm expecting it to be just as risque and sexual as this first one, but hopefully the fact that I was surprised by how much actual plot and lore there was in the very first one, hopefully that comes through in the second one as well, and it's not just all sex. Finally, I also finished Outtakes from the Grave, which is a collection of deleted scenes essentially from the first 4 Night Huntress novels. So I actually really love this book because I love getting little extra bits of lore from the author, and that's basically what this was, because apparently she had written the first 3 and most of the 4th one before she actually got any of them published. And so there was a lot of things that got changed and got cut based on Pacing. Pacing was her main thing that she talked about in the book, because she would have like a little foreword before every new chapter so that she could introduce a scene and explain where it takes place in the book that it was taken from. I did find one or two of them a little bit boring or tedious, or I didn't enjoy them very much, but for the most part I think I enjoyed all of them. The one that I enjoyed the most was essentially a novella, because I think in my audiobook listening it was like 4 hours or something, but it was the middle part of the 4th book. Apparently she had written up a completely different middle part for the 4th book than what she ended up going with, and I liked it better. I don't know why, but I just liked what she had ended up taking out so much better than what she had ended up going with. Not that what she went with was necessarily terrible or anything, but the 4th one is definitely my least favorite, second to least favorite in the book, in the series, because I really didn't like the 6th one, as I've told you guys about already. But in the 4th one, I think I mentioned that I didn't like the way that it ended, but because I just read a completely alternate middle portion, it was the middle portion that I didn't like. So there's a portion in the 4th book where Bones and Cat are separated from each other, and then they're kind of forced back together, and I didn't really like their dynamic during that time, but I liked it much better in this version. So if you don't like the 4th book or any part of the 4th book, I highly recommend this Outtakes from the Grave. Now, to borrow an ending from my podcast, that is everything for this week, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed this vlog. Please let me know down in the description if you like this format, if you'd like me to go back to the podcast format with the book reviews. Anything about your opinions, I would love to hear it. But otherwise, please like the video, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.